Oh, hello. How you doing? I think we're live. Made it tonight. Sorry about last week. I've been overworked. I'd like to say underpaid, but I can't really moan on that department. But definitely overworked. Last week I was in bed by like 8 o'clock in the evening. I was absolutely knackered. But anyway, tonight's the night. We're live again. Let's see who we've got. Vivian, how are you doing? How's it going? Great to see you back on the live chat. I'm not sure these live chats are a good idea, but they're sort of like, they'll kill an evening. That's one thing that's good about them. They'll give my voice a good workout for a few hours. But anyway, Vivian, nice to see you, and good to see you at the car show. I actually really enjoyed that show. Michael Waldron, how easy is it to change O2 sensor on a 2008 Mondeo? Well, what is that? A petrol? Is that a petrol Mondeo? That you know, a lot of these O2 sensors, you have to have a special socket. I think they're like 22 mil, and they have a slot in the socket, so the wire will go through them. Then you can put the socket on. They're like a single hex socket with a slot in them. Then you can slide the wire through the socket and undo them. And as long as they're not seized up, in some cases, sometimes you've got to heat them up, and you can. Well, it depends how rusty the exhaust is. Sometimes they'll just crack undone and come undone. If they've been in for that bloody long, sometimes they'll come in and take all the threads out with them. So it's hit and miss sometimes. Hello, Steve. How are you? I haven't looked at any emails or done anything on the internet. I've shut off the goddamn internet. I walked out. I went outside and started walking across some fields. It's like, I've got your emails. I will look through them, and I will look at the links you've left me, but I just haven't done it yet. In fact, I haven't done much yet. I haven't done hardly anything in the last 2 weeks. But don't worry, I will get round to it. But anyway, how are you doing, Steve? Hope you're good. I'm going to crack open a beer in a minute. Hello, Chris. How are you? From York. Well, it's good to hear from you. Mary hasn't said anything about wanting her computer fixed yet. I think she likes sticking her hands in it. That's why she leaves the cover off. Oh, Benjamin Schmid, Germany. Holy crap! All the way from Germany. Oh my God. Well, hello over there. How are you doing? That is some. I'll tell you what, I'm quite amazed by how many of you lot out there are from like different parts of the world. Sort of like watching me here in bloody England, little England. But that's fantastic. Paul Hughes, hi Paul. Greetings from Kettering. Wicksteed Park. Do you know what? I haven't been there in bloody years. The last time I went to Wicksteed Park, I did go on the little train that goes all the way around. And there was also these bloody, they're like pods. And they've got pedals in them, and you've got to pedal them around this like track that's up in the air. I'll tell you what, I think they needed oiling because my legs were absolutely knackered by the time I got round the circuit. I don't know if they're still there because that's going back a few years now. But anyway, Paul, that's great. What are you saying? Was it Frost's in Brampton? Oh, is that the garden centre? That's that big garden centre, isn't it? On Saturday, you won't find me at a garden centre. I don't have green fingers. Was hoping to bump into you. All was not lost though, as I saw a Steve's Taxi Mark 5 on the way home. I have to see that shit every day. Usually with the bonnet up and something spinning out on the ground off them. Anyway, fantastic. Nice to hear from you, Paul. Finn Hogan, hi Finn, how are you? Hi Helen, good to have you back watching from Dublin. Oh my God. See, all over the bloody world. Andy Kale, what the normal cost of a cam belt and water pump change on a 2011 C-Max 2-litre TDCI? Depends where you go. And depends what parts you use as well. If you get like a Gates kit from Motor Factors, it'd probably cost you water pump and cam belt kit, I'd say around about £80–100. If you get it from Ford, it'd probably be more. Depends what kind of quality you want. But Gates are a good aftermarket kit anyway. And then it all depends what garage you go to, what they're going to charge. I would say if I was doing that, you'd probably be looking around about $250 tops. That would be the maximum, including VAT. I think most cam belts these days you've got to allow around about 250 quid. So some of them are bloody nightmares to do. They cost an absolute fortune. Alan Green, hi Alan. Barry. Oh my God. That's somewhere I've never been. Benjamin Speed, what are your thoughts on Toyotas? I think, not that I'm an expert, but from what I've heard and what I've seen, most Toyotas these days, they're very reliable. Japanese, ultra reliable, good quality, maybe a bit bland in the dash section and interior and stuff like that. But if you want something that's going to last and not let you down, I think with a Toyota you can't go far wrong. However, there is one Toyota that put me off Toyotas for life, and this is nothing to do with cars, because at Steve's Taxis we used to have some buses, and we had a Toyota Caetano. It was an import from Japan. It was a 21-seat bus, and we bought that with it had engine trouble, to say the least, right? It was like a 4-litre engine, and you had to drop, you got to the engine from an inspection hatch inside the bus, but we had to change the engine. We got another engine, and we had to get that imported. I don't know where in the world it come from, but it come from somewhere, and it wasn't cheap. And I put this engine in, and it was screwed. It had the crankshaft, the big end, one of the big end bearings was knackered. It was like, that was a lot of bloody work. Bloody flipping bus. You should have never bought it in the first place. But anyway, that's long gone now. Thank God. I guess if that engine was good, that would have been a good little bus. But because of all the engine trouble, it wasn't a good bus. It was a money pit. Mondo. Hello, Mondo. How are you doing? Hi, big. I'm not big. I'm small. Don't burn your legs on that bar. Do you know it doesn't actually? It doesn't even get hot. It's like it's an LED. It doesn't even. There's no heat to it at all. But the problem is, I think it needs to go higher up. You know, it's like it needs to sit like up there. I think I've got it too low. But I'll probably sort it out later. You've got to unbolt the bloody thing from the ceiling again. But anyway, nice to hear from you, Mondo. Paul Williams, hi Paul. Glad you're back from Paul in Sheffield, South Yorkshire. Oh my God. Where did I go years ago? It weren't South Yorkshire, it was further than that. It was the northeast. It was red car. It was red car I went. This was back in the day. It was a scooter rally. We were talking about things a while ago. I think it is either today or yesterday, probably yesterday. Because years ago, I used to be a mod. that was a long time ago. And we went on a scooter rally to Redcar and had this big hall where all the George Michael lookalikes were outside and all the scooter boys were inside, and they had an all-nighter dance. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, they were good old days. Vivian, hi Vivian. Just wondering what your thoughts on E10 petrol. I have 55 reg Mark III Mondeo 1.8. Bit dubious about new petrol. New BP Ultimate E5 is 20 pence per litre dearer than E10. I haven't really looked into it. There are some videos on YouTube doing like experiments about this E10 petrol with ethanol in it. Does ethanol damage your engine, this, that, and the other? You have to check out some of them videos. I haven't actually gone into it yet. But all I can see is all this Green New Deal bullshit and climate alarmists that it's not going to do any good. A lot of the older cars, they're not going to run properly on it, and you're going to have to start using the super unleaded, which is a lot more expensive. That's the way it's going. I'd just say it's watered down crap, if you ask me. So, do you remember the days of when 4-star they brought out unleaded, and if you had like a Cortina Mark IV or an early Sierra, they wouldn't run properly on the unleaded. You had to put an additive in with it to make them run right. Otherwise, they were flat and jerky and misfiring and all sorts. And the unleaded was burning out of valves because it was burning at much higher temperature in the cylinders. I don't think this ethanol is going to be any good. It might be all very well and good if you've got like a brand spanking new car. But if you've got a car like 10 years old, you may well run into problems with it. So the only thing you can do is put some in and try it and see if there's any kind of difference, if it's running any different. But yeah, I don't like it. Lewis Thomas, hi Lewis. Hope everything is good and love the vids. I've only made a couple lately. I'm getting really slow at making videos. I used to love I still like making videos. It's just that it's just work. It's just too much work. By the time I've done a day's work, I've got nothing left. There used to be a time when you can go to work, you'd do a few jobs, and then you'd have sort of like 2-3 hours to kill, and you could just piss around with a camera. But at the moment, it's been non-stop. So I will get some more vids done when I actually get the time. By the way, I'm not going to say nothing, but I've got a new addition for the camera collection. Watch this space. This is going to be a good one. Mondo, don't forget to lubricate your whistle. Thank you very much. I'm going to do that right now. So thanks for that, because I'd absolutely forgotten. There we go. Shall we see if we can see a Mondeo inside the green bottle? There. Cheers, Mondo. I never used to like beer years ago, but I do these days. This actual beer, I don't know if you're there because I haven't seen your name yet. Mark Nusita. Mark Nusita is one of the subscribers. He paid for this beer. He bought the beer because I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about tracking, and he's got a Mondeo and he brought his Mondeo down to have it tracked. He'd been to somewhere or other, and they'd put it on there like all singing, all dancing, computerized bullshit. And it's supposed to have been sort of like all tracked up perfectly. I put it on my out of the arc gauges, and it was towing. It was one of the. It was towing in or towing out about 4 degrees or something stupid like that. So I reset it all to parallel, and that was it. So it wasn't tracked up properly to start with. Most cars, when you get to tracking, I don't know what the setting is for his particular car, but most cars are sort of like, you wouldn't be really any more than 1 degree tow out or 1 degree tow in. So if you're at parallel, there's a high chance your tyres aren't going to wear irregularly. So he was happy anyway. We had a photo shoot and that was it, done. But he surprised. He gave me a case of beer, so I split the beer with Matt at work, and I still have 2 bottles which I'm going to polish off tonight. Bill Williams, hi Bill. I watched your video on the electric handbrake. If the wire broke whilst driving along, would the handbrake come on? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I have no idea. That handbrake problem was the first ever handbrake problem we've had. I do not like electric handbrakes. I'll tell you something. The Mondeos, they're not too bad as electric handbrakes go. But when you get in like these new Land Rovers and things like that, you literally cannot, if you take the key out of the ignition or anything like that, the handbrake will automatically come on and you can't take it off. You can't. It's like when you're doing an MOT test, you don't want the bloody thing on. You want it off so you can spin the wheels, or you've got to have the ignition on. So they're a pain. They're an absolute pain. I don't like handbrakes that put themselves on, like on all these Megans and that. I'm sure if you go into the manual, you can set these things up sort of like how you want them to work. But some cars, I'm not sure they can. I'm sure these Land Rovers are sort of like, it's a safety feature, but it's not a safety feature really. It's a pain in the arse. It's bullshit is what it is. Give me a flipping bloody proper pull-up handbrake any day. Yeah, but I don't know the answer to that. If that wire was to have broke when you're driving along, I'm assuming it would not come on. Because if it did come on, that would be bloody stupid. that would be a really bad thing. Ford would have to sort of like do something about that. But as far as I know, the guy in this particular car, he parked it up. He put the handbrake on and it worked, and he put the brake on. Then by the time he come out of the bloody shop and got back in his car, the wire had broken. So he was kind of lucky where he was, because he is parked up in a sort of like a proper parking spot. So Ian Truman, hi Ian, how are you? Christopher Cantwell, hi Chris. Maidstone, Kent, blimey. Hello down there. Yeah, you are down there. You're not up there. Up there's up north. You're down there yourself. Kent, blimey. Well, hello, Chris. It's that Wednesday night again. Hi, Matt. How are you, Matt? Did Matt get his car sorted? No, he didn't. He spent a lot of money on them clutches or something he's put in that gearbox, and it's still not right. But apparently he's saying his car's overpowered anyway for the gearbox, so it's going to be a technical one. Something I won't be getting involved in, but we'll have to sort of like find someone who really knows about them, because it's a bit of a you need an Audi specialist or something like that. But anyway, hope you're good, Matt. Nice for you to come down the other week. Chris, We'll sort that PC side cover for when I get down to see you for a coffee. Do you know what the funny thing is? I haven't even looked in the office lately. I think they've updated the computers. I know they've got instead of having one monitor, both offices now they've got like 2 monitors. So I don't know whether they've put a separate tower drive in there or they've flung that one out or what. I'll have a look tomorrow. I'll see if they're still using the original like tower unit and they've just plugged 2 monitors into it. Mike 5 bulb. yeah, you know how it is. You go into a shop and you see a gimmick. I just thought it'd be nice, you know. I don't know. Maybe it gives me inspiration. It's like a bit of decoration for the kitchen. I even went out and bought this overpriced £200 veneer covered piece of crushed sawdust table, but it's got powder coated legs, so I could probably set fire to it and it won't burn away in a hurry. But yeah, this was the whole plan, to have the bulb over the table like a breakfast table. But this is more like a bar table, so you can drink beer at it. That was the plan for Wednesday nights. Michael Smutnik, hi Michael. Need to see more Focus Mark 1. Yeah, them the old rentals. I get a funny feeling I'll be up car sales in a little while. When I'm up car sales, I'll get a few of them Focuses in. No worries. I'm sure they'll soon be working their way in for when things go wrong with them. I'll soon find something to talk about. Phil Fagan, hi Phil. I was all ready to ask you a question about the Mark IV Mondeo. I had a strange issue with a wet seat belt on the driver's side. Turns out my door seal is worn, so scrapyard or get a new one. I'd go to the scrapyard if you can get one. I mean, most scrapyards anyway, they take all the bits off now anyway. There's no fun anymore, is there? Remember the days when you used to go to a broker's yard and you could just walk around, get a few bits and fling them over the fence? Yeah, it was. I preferred it when you could go to a broker's yard and you actually got the stuff yourself and unbolted it yourself. But nowadays you just ring them up, don't you? I suppose if you go to eBay, places like that, they'll have just about anything you want. There was a scrapyard. I can't remember where the hell it was. It was near Peterborough. It had been completely abandoned. This was going back some years. Completely abandoned. There were just cars everywhere. And we just waltzed in there. No one around. The gates were wide open. I got a roof rack off one of the cars. Doors, flipping interior bit. I'll tell you what, my car couldn't carry him any more back home. And there was no one there. So we just helped ourselves to everything that we wanted. Ben Masters, hi Ben. Good evening. Greetings from Hamburg. Flipping heck, Germany as well. Oh my God, that's 2 people from Germany. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, hello over there, Ben. I hope you're having a good evening. In Trade Motor. Morning, just woke up. Where are you? Where in the world are you? Oh dear. I've lost my spot. Ford Boss Me is good for USA Fords. Some sort new OBD on Fords. I never did hear of he used at dealership. Ford Boss Me is good for USA Fords. Some sort new OBD on Fords. Okay. Only old Toyotas with plug and wires lasted forever. I don't actually know what the new ones are like, but I see some of these. There's some of our drivers, they've got these Toyota hybrids, and you never see them. And I'm kind of thinking they're doing well, because whenever they do pull up, and they sort of like, I mean, they're not company cars that we've got, but they're sort of like, they'll go out and lease them or buy them, or whatever they do, and they're always driving around. They don't ever come up and say, "Oh, I've got these issues with these cars." So I don't know. I'm kind of guessing the Toyotas are pretty reliable, but I'm not an expert because we don't run a fleet of Toyotas. So the trouble is, you sort of like have to be around these sort of things to get a proper appreciation of how good they are, or not in some cases. Dan, hi Dan. Do you know if the 163 brake horsepower Ford 2-litre TDCi is same top end as 140? I.e., if belt brakes, chuck new rockers in. It will be. It'll be the same. The engine will look the same. It'll be the same engine, basically. It will still have the timing belt, the two camshafts, and the chain. And if the rubber timing belt was to break, chances are it will break the rockers. It might not. You could be lucky. It might not do any damage. It's always worth, if you ever have cam belt break, it's always worth just putting a new belt on and spinning it over first. You might be lucky. If you're not lucky, all it will do is break rockers. It will never bend a valve. In fact, I've had quite a few of them belts breaking over the years now, and I've never ever had a bent valve. The only trouble is, it's even with the broken rockers, it's still a lot of work to get to them. And there's also a chance it will damage the camshafts, and you've got to watch out for the camshaft lobes as well, because they can actually turn on the camshafts. So you could change the rockers, get it all back together, and find out it's still not right because the camshaft lobes are moved. So you've got to be sort of like paying a lot of attention to every component you're taking out. I've only had the one camshaft, and that's the Mark V Mondeo, where the camshaft, the lobes have moved. And I was lucky I noticed that, because that could have been easily overlooked. All right, mate? Yes. Richard Utin. Hi, Richard. What do you think of a Mondeo Vignale? I can't even say it. Vignale 2016 2-litre 180 brake horsepower diesel. Mine's done only 18,000 miles. They're very nice. They're like top spec. Got all the bells and whistles. You could say they are the dog's twitcher of the Mondeos. The one we had down, white one, that we put a clutch in, that was like lovely paintwork, and it's a nice car. If you want all the luxury items, it's going to have it. So and 18,000 miles, oh my god, it's not even run in. Yeah, that will last a long time. That is luxury. Right. Michael, hang the mic like the bulb so you don't get as much noise from your hands on the desk. Mate, I should keep my arm off the desk. Do you know what's annoying about this? Is I've got the microphone on the bloody camera, and it's like, which is still switched on, by the way. I don't know why it's switched on, because it's not doing any bloody good. With the camera plugged into the computer, the microphone on the camera doesn't work. I don't get it. So I'm having to use this microphone, or I could use the internal built-in microphone on the computer. But the whole point of this was supposed to be better audio. I don't really know if it is. Anyway, but yeah, I guess what I should do is get one of them. What are they? Them bloody, you know, like the podcasters use. They got the swing arm that comes round, and you sort of like get really up like that to the mic, like, and they're talking right up into it. They're trying to be too professional. I'm not going to get that professional. I'll try and keep my elbow from rubbing on the table if it's making a lot of noise. A Grinder one, hi Grinder. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned my Mark IV 1.6 TDCi only does 37 miles per gallon. You said it should do more. I recently bought a new battery and now get 42. Really? Less load on the belt, maybe. I don't know how a new battery is going to give you more fuel consumption. No, that doesn't make any sense to me. No idea. The trouble with most of these cars, there's nothing you can do. It's not like you can adjust the carburetor anymore, is it? They're either running right or they're not running right. And if they're not running right, there's something wrong with them. There's a sensor out or a split air pipe or something like that. So I don't know. Hi Paul. Why is a Audi A3 headlight LED matrix over £1,000 to buy? Because everything LED is expensive. It's like, it's not that they're worth it. It's just the fact that it's like, why do they call pig piss blue motion? Because it sells. They know they can make all this by dazzling people with LED. People like mesmerized by, wow, this must be some fancy new technology. Well, it's not, is it? Because LEDs have been around for bloody donkey's years. It's only been in the last so many years they've actually started like making lights out of LEDs. And LEDs are, I guess, are pretty cheap, really. They're just sort of like, you know how it is. It's just money making. I'd like to know how much the actual headlight costs in materials to make. But no, it's just the same old story, isn't it? They can charge what they like. If that was a halogen headlight, it wouldn't cost a sort of like a tenth for that. Hi Pat, how are you? Great job on the Mondeo handbrake. Yeah, thanks for that. I should have found that in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. I'll know next time. Yeah, in sort of like ever since we've had them cars, that is the first time I've had a broken wire on the handbrake. Hi Wayne, how are you? I've had COVID and an MOT on the car. You've had COVID. Are you okay now? How was the COVID? I'm still looking for it. Well, in actual fact, I don't even know if I've had it or not. That's the trouble, isn't it? You unless you, I guess they say you lose your taste. Well, I haven't lost my taste. There was one point. I'm going back to like March of last year. I walked down the field down the back here, and it was evening, and I absolutely felt, I just felt completely like gone, no energy whatsoever. And I thought there was something wrong with me because it was a bit out of the usual. And I never really give it much thought, but I guess I've just felt the same every day after that, which is about how I always feel. So, do you know something? I haven't had the flu in probably 25 years. And if I have had the flu, I haven't noticed it. I've had a runny nose and a cough and, you know, all the rest of the bullshit. But I remember years ago when I caught the flu and you feel like you're bloody dying. It's quite bad. But I've never experienced that in so many years now. I wouldn't even know what it feels like anymore. But yeah, how was your COVID? And how did your car do on the MOT? Did it pass? In trade motor, ethanol binds water and water equals corrosion. Well, I'll go along with that one. I don't think this ethanol can bring anything good to the table. I think this ethanol and E10 petrol is nothing but bullshit. And it's going to cause nothing but misery. Mustafa Farah, hello. I'm good. Very good. I am tonight. I wasn't last week. Last week at this time I was in bed. I was dead. Marcus Halliday. Hi, Marcus. I remember the days when our local petrol station sold 5-star. I tell you what, I remember 2-star. 2-star from a moped. You remember this? Remember the smell you get from the 2-star petrol when you mix the oil with it? I love that smell. The old, it was a flipping SS50 we had. It was a bloody 50cc motorbike. That was great. Hi, Ben. Mondeo Mark III 1.8. Did you ever had issues with this grey capacitor near the ignition coil? No. It depends. I don't even recall seeing a capacitor. I know. I think I know what you mean. It kind of vaguely rings a bell. I don't even know what it's for. If I go back many years, they had sort of like, they put capacitors on ignition coils for sort of like radio suppression and stuff like that. But it would be nothing like that. I don't even know what it's for. But no, I've never had any issues. Disconnect it and see what happens. That's the best thing to do. I've seen flex fuel cars with immense problems from USA Techs. It also a diesel killer with this bio crap. I don't know if you remember, there was a program on, and they were showing the British Army. I think they were actually in Afghanistan, which is a bit of a sore point at the minute for Joe Biden, isn't it? Even though he's celebrating with his chocolate ice cream. But they were showing the fuel tanks in some of their big vehicles, and that this biofuel that goes in them, and they have to actually get inside these fuel tanks and scrape all this bloody black stuff out, where it's all this biofuel is sort of like congealing up. And they've got to clean it all out because it's all solidifying because of the climate out there. So no, that's the trouble with these biofuels. They mutate, I reckon. They're not good. They try and make it out to be sort of like clean green stuff, but it's not. It's bloody. I guess it's okay if you're using the vehicle and you put like a tenner in and you drive around and use it and then put a bit more in. But if you've got the vehicle like parked up for any amount of time and that stuff is left to sit, that's when you're going to get trouble. That's when it's going to start congealing and blocking your fuel lines up, blocking your tank up, causing all manner of bloody problems. Mustafa, no more new videos? Not at the minute. I will. I have got things I can do videos on, but I just haven't got around to it. I know. It's like I need sort of like I'll find something. Don't worry. I have got a plan. I'll get something out sooner or later. Cameron, how you doing? Hope you're having a better day than me. Oh, you've had a bad day. I'll tell you about my day in a minute. Lorry hit and run me this morning on the motorway on my way to work. Not to worry, it's all in hand. Oh dear. Well, I'm glad you're all right. You're not hurt, are you? Because the trouble with these flipping lorries, I'll tell you what, we've had a number of the taxis hit by lorries, and I you know, half the time you have to ask yourself, is it the driver's fault or not? Because sometimes you get a driver go on the inside of a lorry when they're turning right, and it's like the lorry, as the back of the lorry comes around, there's no room and they get sandwiched. So but who knows? Yeah, it's not it's not very nice to have an accident with a lorry. But there again, if you hit you, and did you get his registration number? I'm taking that's done a fair bit of damage. I shouldn't think you're going to damage the lorry. I guess at the end of it, as long as you're not hurt, that's the main thing. Benjamin, you need some real beer. Need to send you something from Germany. Well, I did have Stella Artois, but I couldn't handle that stuff. I had to give it away. It's horrible. I don't know if you call that real beer. I quite like this. I'm not really a beer drinker, but it's just nice to have a beer when you're sat here talking. In actual fact, let me just check something. I can't see my Mondeo in the bottle. Oh. Oh dear. Oh, hang on. Now I'm seeing something. There. There's definitely still something there. There's some weird old effects going on with this bloody green bottle and this software. But yeah, no, I'm not much of a beer drinker. But yeah, I'm always up to trying something though. SY Diagnostics, how you doing? Had the same parking brake issue on a Ford Edge myself today, 2017. So you had a broken wire as well. You know, the thing is, when I had that broken wire, before I knew it was a broken wire, I Googled the two codes I had, and I found a few forums on the internet that people were talking about it with similar issues like left rear handbrake stuck on and not working and this, that, and the other. But you go through all these forums and there's all these people talking about it, but then you get to the end of it and there's not an answer. No one says whether they fixed it or not. So I don't know. I mean, I saw some of these people are taking their car to a dealer, and I don't even know what country they're in, but they're taking their car to a dealer, and then they're saying like 6 weeks later the car's still at the dealership because of a handbrake problem, and they're told it's the handbrake caliper, and then they're told it's the ECU, and it still hasn't fixed it, and it's like, but nobody's come out with a definitive yes, this is what solved it, apart from one guy who said his left rear caliper wasn't working because something was wrong with the right rear caliper, which I don't really understand that one, but yeah. So you had a broken wire as well. I'll tell you what, a broken wire is a lot cheaper than a new caliper. I think in my case, the caliper, I haven't answered the comments on my channel yet, but I did see a few of them. People saying, "Oh, couldn't you have just taken the case off the back of the caliper and wound the piston back or connected to a battery to it?" And I think if I'd have known the problem when I initially went over there, and I knew it was going to be a broken wire, which I will do next time, I think if you had like a lead that you can plug into the caliper with a separate battery, then that would have worked. That would have taken the caliper off. I'm pretty sure it would do. As far as winding the piston back, I don't think that's going to work. So we tried on our old caliper. We took off the car. We tried to take the back off the caliper, the plastic bit, and it weren't having none of it. And these calipers, they don't wind back. They actually, the piston pushes back. But the gears that are operated by the motor, they're sort of like, once they're wound round and holding that piston out, there's no getting them back that I can see without actually breaking the back of the caliper. So maybe if I get another dud caliper, I'll look further into it, because it's a bit of a pain if you get a caliper stuck on and you can't get it off. If you're stuck somewhere, it can cause all kinds of problems. Jup only German purity law is real beer. Oh. Alexander Komkov, hello. Nice shorts. I got these from Burton's. I actually had to buy them online. There was a story as well, because when all this COVID bullshit broke out, I went down to Burton's, the shop in the high street, because I wanted to buy some shorts and some t-shirts, and they're all stood in there with their masks. And I walked up to the door, and this big woman was standing at the door, and who worked in there, and I said, "Can I come in without a mask and buy something?" She said, "No, you have to wear a mask." Well, I said, "Oh, I'll bloody well shop elsewhere then." So I did. I went to Burton's online, but I weren't going to go in the shop. I absolutely refused to put a mask on that day. Oh, hang on. Wish to you and your family all best. Well, thank you very much, Alexander. You too as well. Benjamin, in trade motor, you have good taste, mate. Mondo, problem is eco-fuel is made with crops that need fertilizer, that needs natural gas, and they can't afford to make that, so crops will perish and fuel may be in short supply or price goes crazy. Yeah, but you're not supposed to say that, are you? You're not supposed to ask where it comes from. You're just supposed to say, Green New Deal. I'm eco-friendly. I'm using bullshit. I'm a climate alarmist. Hey, Joe Biden, bullshit. You're just supposed to go with it, aren't you? You're not supposed to ask questions. Thing is, people need fuel and will pay it. Yeah, that's the problem. Simon Goodship, how are you doing? I've got a Mark IV Mondeo TDCi. I've had the clutch and dual mass flywheel changed, and now my steering is heavy and stiff. Well, I'm kind of gathering, going by that, it depends what year it is, really. What year car is it? Because some of these Mondeos, they have the power steering pump is underneath the driver's headlight. There's other ones with a more conventional power steering pump belt driven on the engine. And I know on some of these Mondeos, they have a reservoir up by the coolant expansion bottle, and there's a filter in that reservoir that gets blocked. And these reservoirs, they run on it's not the red oil, it's the bloody hydraulic oil. It's like a green hydraulic oil. And people put the wrong oil in it. They put power steering fluid in them and it buggers them up. It blocks the filter up. When the filter in that reservoir gets blocked, the oil can't circulate and it makes the steering go heavy. So I should say, if the clutch has been done, they might have disconnected the steering pipes or something, which I don't think they should have had to do. Because I know when I do clutches on Mark IV Mondeos, you take the subframe down, but you leave the steering rack hanging, so you don't disconnect no pipes to it. So really, the steering shouldn't have been touched, apart from one bolt in the rack from the subframe, 2 bolts. So I don't know. There's a number of things that could be wrong there, but I guess someone's going to have to look into it, take it back to who done clutch. Hi, Steve. If the handbrake wire broke while driving, you would get a stability control warning and the caliper should do nothing. Yeah, that's what it should do. I can't imagine the handbrake coming on while you're driving. That'd be goddamn dangerous, wouldn't it? But yeah. But these cars, they're sort of like, they're quite intelligent, aren't they? And you think about it. Well, I was thinking about it. Whenever you open any of the doors on that car, on these Mark V Mondeos, straight away on the dash, they're showing. Even if, like, for instance, there's no fault on the car, say your handbrake isn't on, it's in the off position. You open the driver's door, it will come up on your instrument pack, parking brake off. So it knows. Oddities? Is that a Pokemon? Hi to you. Oddities, I'm good. I haven't seen your channel. What is that? Is that a I don't know what that is. Pokemon? Maybe I'll have a look later. Anyway, hi anyway. Thanks for dropping by. Rusky Steel, my Duratec HE keeps popping the plug leads. Boot. I see a bit of shallow oil in there. How do I fix it? Well, I'd probably say your rocker cover gasket's leaking. I know that's the common one, because they the rubber gets hard and then it just pisses oil down the engine and in where the plugs and all that are. So and they're a water trap. Especially if you pressure wash your engine, you'll find your plug leads, they can build up with water. So no, you'd have to take the plugs out, clean it all out properly, put new plugs and leads in it, that are well insulated. The trouble is, you got cheap leads in there, or some proper good ones. But the oil, I'd say the rocker cover gasket. That'd be the big culprit. LC, I would say it couldn't come on as no ground or positive would be present due to wire broken. Yep. That's a sensible answer. Jay Ash, hi Jay. Changed the clutch on Peugeot 107 last Saturday. Took 7.5 hours. Next time a garage can do it. On a Peugeot 107. Aren't they a little car? Tiny little thing. They are, aren't they? They're a little car. I've never done one, but I would have thought would have been quite easy. It depends though. What were you working on the ground, on the floor, or did you have a ramp? I reckon on a 2-poster ramp that would have been a piece of piss to do. Is there a subframe you've got to take off? I don't think there is. I'll tell you what though, the gearbox I took out a couple of weeks back on this, I do not like taking gearboxes out of Ford Transits. I've done some Mark 6s and they're just well, on the Mark 6 Transits, I've always taken like the back subframe off and the bolts can get seized in and they're a bloody pain in the ass to get out. You need a scaffold pole to bloody try and unbolt them, they're so tight. But we've got a 17 plate Transit and the actual gear, you put it in second gear and you try to let the clutch up and it just bangs straight out of second gear because it was buggered. So I had to do the gearbox and I had to get the gearbox out. And they're not my favourite job, but bloody hell, I was lumbered with the bloody thing. So what I found was you haven't got to take a subframe off. You get a scissor jack, and once you unbolt that stupid gearbox mount that's holding like the gearbox on with about bloody, there must have been like 8 or 10 bolts on this bloody gearbox mount holding it onto the flipping body. But once that's out of the way, you can get a scissor jack at the back of the engine and on the subframe, and open the scissor jack, and it will push the engine forward, and it gives you easily enough clearance to lift the gearbox out and clear the subframe. And it made the job so much easier and quicker. I was quite impressed. But no, I've never done a Peugeot 107. If one comes in, I'll have a look and I'll give you my thoughts on it. Steve, when a wire breaks on the handbrake, it should just stop working in the position that it is because both wires are needed. Yes. Don't ask me for anything sensible coming out about handbrakes because I've had it up to here with handbrakes. I don't want to know about handbrakes. And the funny thing is that car, it had sat at that garage for literally 4 or 5 weeks and hadn't been fixed. I mean, it wasn't that we were fixing it all the time. We spent about an hour and a half on it, then bloody gave up on it. And it was only sort of like a few weeks after I'd come back off 2 weeks off that I got back on it. It's like there's just been so many other things in the way. I don't know if you feel the same, but it's like when you've got that much work to do, you don't want to be getting involved in like fault finding stuff if you haven't got an answer to it. I'd rather just leave the faults to one side. Fortunately, we've got so many cars parked up at the minute, it's still off the road because they haven't got the drivers for them. Because when this COVID come out, a lot of the drivers, like, they went back home to Europe and stuff like that. So there seems to be a shortage of taxi drivers at the minute. So there's loads of cars parked up, trying to get hold of drivers to fill them. So if a car breaks down, it's not really that big an issue. You know, just join the rest of them, which is a good thing. I fitted RTV sealer on new rocker cover gasket once the last new seal shrunk in 6 months and leaked. Got to let it cure before tightening down. Full looks like cowboy job, but well, I guess if it works, it works. But I have a lot of them bloody rubber gaskets on them covers, because we've got a lot of Mark III Duratec HE engines, and flipping heck, you get a car like an 05 plate that's never had that gasket changed, and flipping heck, some of these engines, they're just oil everywhere down the flipping engine because the cover's been leaking so bad and no one's bothered to change it. So Chris, reference to electric handbrake coming on in serviced. Reference to electric handbrake coming on in serviced. Don't know, I'm not with you. I did have a taxi come in once though. I don't know whether the driver had been sort of like playing around in the handbrake switch, because you know you can put the handbrakes into service mode. And I think the driver must have been flicking the switch or something, and he must have flicked it in the right sequence. And the car came in the garage, and it was the rear brakes are in service mode. It's quite amusing. Well, how the hell did he manage that? If wire brakes in service, I would say it would not activate. No, it won't do. I think we can come to the conclusion it's not going to do any. It's not going to do anything. Russ Castile. So rocker cover gasket needs to come off. Funnily enough, the car runs fine. No, it'll run fine. It's not one of them gaskets like we have in the old SDI Rovers, the 2.6s, straight sixes and all that. If you had a rocker cover gasket on one of them leak air, it would run like a pig. But they don't like cause any running issues. It will just leak. It will just leak oil and make a mess everywhere. The rubber just goes. It's like all these rubber gaskets. They're pretty good these days, but I mean, when you get a rubber gasket and the engine's heated up and cooled down so many times, the rubber eventually, it goes very hard and brittle and it shrinks. And then obviously they just start leaking. I've got a mate who does plumbing, and he's saying about all the plastic pipes they use these days. You know, over a certain period of time, these plastic pipes, they just deteriorate and they fall to pieces. And I did notice that because I was changing it was an overflow pipe out of the back of a toilet system that goes through the wall. And I literally grabbed this bloody pipe and it just crushed in my hand and fell to pieces like powder. And it should have been a solid pipe, 15mm diameter pipe. It just bloody crushed up, like deteriorated. It's a bit worrying, isn't it? You've got all these things in your house, and it's like flipping egg. How many years is it going to be before you've got to replace all your piping? PTA Louise, hello? You've got an 08 Mark IV Mondeo 2.2 diesel. Driving normal, it's fine. If I drive hard, exhaust tones lower and smoke comes up from the back of the engine. Turn it off for 10 minutes, start it and it's fine. Any ideas? Nope. If you've got smoke coming up from the back of the engine, it sounds like you've got a leak there somewhere. That's all I can think. There's got to be some kind. It's got to escape. The gases or smoke's got to come from somewhere to be visible. There's got to be some kind of leak down there, whether it's a turbo or a pipe or something. You'd probably have to sort of like get down there and see if you can see any soot around or any black bits where the smoke's been coming out. Because normally on diesel you'll get soot marks if something's leaking around the exhaust or turbo. We've had a few turbos leak in places where they shouldn't do. FGS testing hardware. Blimey, Germany is number 3 from Germany. Oh my God. Well, hello over there. FGS testing hardware. I haven't seen your channel, so I'll see if I can check it out later. But anyway, thanks for popping by. It seems to be a German night tonight. Andy Peck, good evening, Andy. How are you? What is the time, by the way? 9 o'clock. We've been going for an hour. Bob, hi Rob. Finally, I got to see your live chat. You're not really missing much. Thank you for your videos about Mark 5. As you know from my comments so far, they have helped me a lot. Did you do turbocharger in this car regeneration? I have done a few regens on the Mark 5s. Very few and far between though. In fact, the actual DPFs on the Mark 5, they're just like a non-issue. They just seem to work and not cause any problems. The only time I need to do a regen, usually it's been a case of I've had a turbo hose split, namely the one that goes down just in front of the alternator. Because when the overrunning alternator pulley seizes up and locks up and the alternator belt flaps around, it chops a bloody gouge in the turbo hose because the belt's flapping, it catches the turbo hose. And then the driver probably doesn't notice, or he does notice and don't care, and they'll keep driving it and the DPF will get blocked up. So you'll put a new hose on it, and sometimes you can just put a new hose in it, get in the car, take it for a burn up the road, and it will just clear out and work. Or sometimes it won't, it'll be too far gone, and you'll literally have to do a regen. But when I've done a regen on a Mark 5, they've just been fine. They've just done a regen and that's it. No issues. So I'm quite impressed with the DPFs on the Mark 5 and really haven't caused any problems at all. Chris McGuire, hi Chris. On the 2-litre diesel Mondo 2009, how often do you need to change the fuel filter? That'll be the filter that's at the back of the fuel tank in a big bowl. I reckon they last a long old time, you know. I reckon probably around about every 40,000 miles I'll do them. That's my own personal. I don't know what the official change period would be, but I would do them about every 40,000. They're quite a big filter. I think they last well. I've never had one blocked. Hi Kev. Think about buying Mondeo Mark 4 2.2. They're quick. That's the faster engine. All I would say is check it out for its service history, what mileage it's got on it, has it been abused. The more information you can find on it, the better. Because the trouble is, a lot of these Mondeos, they've been ragged around and abused and God knows what. And there's a lot of old dogs out there. But there are still some good ones. If you can find a good one, and it sounds right and it looks nice. If you've got a mate who knows what he's looking at, you can take it for a good bloody drive as well. Listen for any noises. You know, don't rush into anything. Don't just buy it for the sake of it. If you just because you like it, even if you think there's an issue there, sometimes it's best just to walk away. But if it is a good one and it's been well looked after and this that, and the other, and you're pretty sure, then yeah, you won't go far wrong with it. They're a good engine. As long as you do the oil changes, that's the main thing these days in all these engines. Use the correct oil and do the oil changes at the right interval, or maybe a bit early if you want. But yeah, all the Mondeos we've had have been the 2 litres. But we did have a 2.2. Hardly ever saw it. It only ever come in for like an oil change and service, and that was it. Never any trouble. But it was the quicker engine. It was like the more desirable engine. Marcus, hi Marcus. There is a 2010 Mark IV Mondeo estate where I live, and it's covered over 320,000 miles. The owner said it's still going strong. Yeah, it probably is. We've had Mark IVs do that. We've had some Mark IVs that the engines have blown up, crankshaft related issues. A few of them, but we've had plenty of Mark IVs that have done that kind of mileage and are still going strong. Yeah, they are. If they've been serviced right throughout their life and not abused too much, they can easily do that kind of mileage. Although they're Peugeot engine, and I never used to rate Peugeots very much years ago, but the engines that go in these Mondeos, these Peugeot engines, I think they're very good. They're excellent. They seem to hold up really well, and they're well-built engines, good, strong engines. So I can't knock them. But the only trouble is when you get to that kind of mileage, you have to think to yourself, this is going to be sort of like a get me to work and back every day. It's not going to be sort of like the family runabout, is it? Going on holiday, you wouldn't want to trust it because it's not just the engine, is it? It's the rest of the car. You don't know what else is going to be wrong with it or what could go wrong. So it's nicer to have sort of like a lower mileage. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's probably totally legit, that is. Steve, the Yanks have had 10% weasel piss petrol available as an option at the pump since the 70s. I don't expect it to be an issue. The funny thing is, the Yanks on Alconbury base, they get nice cheap petrol. Most of them drive petrol cars. They've got their own pumps on the Air Force base, and it's cheap. They ain't got to pay all the tax we've got to pay on it that the government gets. Hi, Michael. How easy is it to change an O2 sensor a 2008 Ford Mondeo? Haven't we had this question? I'm sure we've had this question. I did go through it. I'll go through it again. I'm sure it's 22 mil and it's a special socket with a slot in it. So the wire goes through the socket. Sometimes these sensors will just undo. They'll crack undone and they'll come out all right. Sometimes they're rusted in so bad they'll strip the threads coming out. Chances are you'll be lucky. They're not so bad to change if you've got the right tool to do it. The problem is because you've got the wire on these sensors, you really need the right tool for it. Because if you try and use a spanner, you have to use the open-ended side of the spanner. You can't use a ring spanner because the plug connector won't fit through the bloody ring end of the spanner. So the open-ended side of the spanner is going to round off. So it's best to have the correct socket. That makes life a lot easier. Smash and crash. Oh, I haven't heard this channel either. Well, hello. Would you fail a car's MOT if it had an LED light bulb in a headlight designed for a halogen light bulb and the beam pattern was correct? Projector style headlight. Well, this is the argument, isn't it? I don't know why DVLA or DVSA, whatever they call themselves these days, have got. I mean, when all the manufacturers are bringing out LED headlights and LED tail lights, why is it that they have got to come out with, well, you can't use LED headlights anymore, LED bulbs yourself, unless the manufacturer fits them? Someone said because they're too bright, they dazzle other road users. But my argument is, if you put an LED bulb in and the beam pattern's okay, and the headlamp beam is set to the correct level, the correct height, so it's not going to be dazzling other people. Sure, they're going to be bright, but I don't see what the problem is. So unless anybody can explain that to me, if they were behind projector lenses, I can't see the bulb, I wouldn't fail them. I would guess they were supposed to be LED by the manufacturer. Because when you look at projector headlights, you can't see the bulb. And for all I know, they are LED headlights. So no, I wouldn't fail them. I'd be fine with that. But the way it is, it's like if you know there is an LED headlight that somebody's fitted or LED bulb that someone's fitted, you're supposed to fail it if it should originally have been a halogen. So, but no, I think you'd probably get away a bit behind the projector ones because you can't see the bulb. And as in MOTs, you are not supposed to remove covers. Okay, so you're not supposed to take anything off the look. So they're contradicting them. I mean, you can't say, oh, I believe that something's behind that headlight lens, so I'm going to fail it because I reckon that's a bloody LED and it shouldn't be. It should be a halogen. You can't assume things. You need to know. And if you can't see the bulb, then you can't fail it as far as I'm concerned. So, no, I would pass it myself. Mr. Bongo Barry, hello. Reliability, 1.8 TDCI or 2 litre. The 2 litre. The 1.8 TDCI is a good engine, but it's a bit archaic now. The 2 litre is the Peugeot engine. When you say 2 litre, I'm kind of guessing you mean a 2 litre diesel. I would say the 2 litre diesel is the more reliable. The 1.8, good engine, but not quite as reliable. Definitely a 2 litre. Michael, how is Monica? Monica is on holiday. She's gone back to Czech. So I haven't seen her in a while. She's flown the country. She's been dying to get out of the country for bloody 2 years now because she wasn't actually allowed to fly back to her home country because of the COVID bullshit. But now finally, sort of like things are relaxing off a little bit. She's had the chance to get back. So she's off. Gone. I think it's about 2 weeks she's away for. So when she gets back, we'll see how her holiday was. Neil Robshaw, hello. How long would you say to change clutch and dual mass flywheel on S-Max 2.5? What's that? 2.5 turbo? It's not one I've done. I would say though, if it's anything like a Mondeo, which it probably is, they're all about bloody the same, aren't they? On a 2-poster ramp, if you're not rushing, and if it was a job that you've never done before, probably about 6 hours. If you know how to do it and you've done them before, then you could probably sort of like 3.5, 4 hours, maybe a bit more. I would say on average, to be safe, about 6 hours would be the time to do that in. Maybe a bit longer. All depends how it comes apart. Because although there are book times for everything, in reality, it never quite works out like that, because that doesn't take into consideration rusted up nuts and bolts. And I've had bolts that go from a engine block into a aluminium gearbox, and when you start winding them out for the first time ever, there's corrosion in the threads, and they start stripping the threads, and they don't come out easily, and you have all kinds of trouble. So nah, this sounds like, I would say 6 hours though. Wayne, pass the MOT, no advisories. Woohoo! But needed training arm bushes. COVID was first 3 days was rough, but after, just like a cold, don't know what all the fuss is about, I would have gone to work. Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's that's what they don't want to tell you. Most people, it's just going to be like a bout of the flu or a bad cold. And nobody gives a shit about the flu, do they? Nobody cares. It's like, if you've got the flu, you just stay at home, don't you? You just have a few days off and sweat it out. But then everybody gets sort of like, oh, COVID, oh my God, the world's going to flipping end. But it's looking like COVID is just going to be another endemic disease. It's going to be another flu virus, which is going to be around forever. And we're just going to have to deal with it. If we catch it, we catch it. It's just like, how many people die each year from the flu? And then you get, they're trying to make it out that it's that bad. It probably was quite bad to start with, because that's how viruses go, isn't it? They're usually quite bad to start with, then they get weaker. They get more transmissible, but they get weaker. And then you catch it, and you might be down for a few days, and then you're over it. And once you've had it, what the government don't tell you is you've got natural immunity. That's the thing. So it's probably a good thing to catch it. But I can understand, like the really old people or the people with health issues, culpabilities, they're going to be sort of like, if they catch this, it aggravates them, and they could be in a lot of trouble. That's why the people that are vulnerable and very old, they need to take extra precautions, sort of thing. But I think for the rest of us, it's just a case of catch it, you catch it. I actually don't even know anybody who's I mean, one of my mates said he had it, and it's like, he goes, I felt down for a few days, but it's like, it's getting boring now, because it's like they made this out to be that bad, and I don't see it. And they've made such politicizers around it now. It's being used politically for like power grabs from the government. I'm actually surprised this government over here have relaxed a lot of these things. And I'm kind of wondering, are they going to try and push another lockdown on us over winter? I flipping hope not. But you look around the world, you look in places in America, and especially Australia, where they're flipping, they're going nuts with it. There's all kinds of problems going on over there. You need to watch that Sky News Australia. Avi Yamini. He's running around Melbourne with all the bloody police everywhere, telling people not to come out because of COVID and keeping all the businesses shut. It's like there's something going on, and it's got nothing to do with bloody public health, that's for sure. Who was that woman? That bloody I'll have to look her up. I can't remember her name. Some pop star who dared to question about taking the vaccine. She didn't want to take the vaccine, and she's got like 100 million subscribers to her channel. Okay, she's some really famous British woman who's in America who wouldn't take the vaccine because she wanted to look more into it, and then she started getting attacked from all sides because she was questioning the vaccine. I forget her name. I have to look it up. Anyway, oh, you need your training arm bushes doing. That's pricey. That's a couple £100 gone. Hi Ross. So I ordered the aux beam lights as per your vid 2 years back. They arrived this week, so hopefully I will get them in for winter. Are they really worth it? I'm still using them. I've got them in my van, and they keep going. They haven't been a problem. I quite like them because the actual light that comes out of them is much brighter than the ordinary halogen, and they're fine. They haven't blown yet, and I tell you what, I do have some taxis that come in that the drivers have fitted their own LED headlight bulbs. I don't know what make they are, but they're dud. They come in and it's got a headlight out, and I take the bulb out and it's a bloody LED that someone's put in. It's not me that's fitted it, but the actual pair of aux beam bulbs that were from that video, and that's about 2 years ago now. They're still working. They're in my van and they're still going. So I will make a statement when they finally pop. But they've done well. And also, I will say this though. My van, as basic as it is, it will bring up a bulb failure light on the dash when I put the headlights on. Because I haven't got I forget what they're bloody called. There's these little bits you put in, little electrical units you've got to connect in. I forget what it's all about now, but on a Mark V Mondeo, you can put them aux beam LEDs straight into your headlights, and you don't need anything extra. I forget what these bloody things are called, that you plug them in, because otherwise it can mess with the CAN bus and all that, and bring like error messages up and stuff like that. But that won't happen on a Mark V Mondeo, as far as I know, because the ones I put in are the Mark V that I put them in. The headlights worked. You have to connect them around the right way, but it doesn't matter if you connect them around the wrong way; they won't work. Just put the plug on the other way, and they just work fine. And there's no error messages, no nothing. They just work fine. So you shouldn't have no problems with them. Siad, hello, how are you? How's things over there in Montenegro? You're a long way from here. You're closer to Greece. John Lowe. Hi, John. My start-stop has not been working for 18 months. When I got my Ford Mondeo Mark V 1.5, I don't do that many miles, 3,000 in a year or so. So can I put a bigger battery in the car? I would probably fit the battery that's recommended for it, just in case. As far as start-stop goes, If I personally had a car with start-stop, I would disconnect it. I don't like them. It's even questionable whether how much bloody fuel they save anyway. I just don't like the thought of the engine keeps switching off when you come to a junction or you're sat in traffic. And then I'm always wondering, will it start again? And remember, these starter motors, I think they have like tandem solenoids on them. They go wrong. And I can tell you that for a fact. These starter motors, for a Mondeo, they range from like £350 to £600 for a starter motor. And they do go wrong. I know they're heavy duty and all that, but bloody hell. I'm not keen on the start-stop at all. It's worrying. But why would you want to put a bigger battery on it? I know that because of the start-stop, you've got to have the higher amperage battery anyway. I'd get the correct battery for it, but get a decent brand. If you want to splash some cash on a good battery, just get a proper brand, proper one, or even get one from Ford. They ain't cheap though. Cameron, I'm all good. Thanks for asking. That's cool. Marcus, when you put your leg up on the stool, my dog ran out of the room. It might have just been a coincidence, but it made me laugh. Smash and Crash, hope you're doing well. How often do you change the oil on the Mark V Mondeos? We do it every 15,000 miles, which, to be honest with you, I think it should be done less. The 15,000 miles is what Ford state they should be done at. But if it was your own car, do it about 10. You're probably safer doing it at 10. Because I tell you something, even at when these taxis come in and they can do 15,000 miles in like 3 months, and the oil is really like, it looks bad. It looks black and deteriorated. So I reckon I would definitely do it if it's your own personal car about every 10,000 miles or once a year. Cameron, the car isn't too bad. The police are aware. Oh, right. Oh, okay. They might find him then. As long as it hasn't taken out the complete side of your car, because that would blooming cost a fortune to repair, wouldn't it? Stella Artois is brewed in Luton. I don't like it. I couldn't drink. And they make them them big cans. They're like extra long cans. It's like I could never get through more than half a can. I just didn't like the taste. So I gave it away. There's someone at the garage who drink anything, so I'll give it to him. Wayne, bolts were so rusty, had to be cut out on swinging arm to do the trailing arm bushes on a Ford Focus. What are the like on Mondeo? A lot easier. I've not actually done a Focus, not that I can remember, but they look a bit of a not very nice job. Nah. And I've had some Focuses in, especially when I've had a broken coil spring and that, and you've got to get the bolt out of the swinging arm, and it's like, oh, they're always seized in solid. They're an absolute nightmare, I know. No, Mondeo is a lot easier. Phil, you need to try the new sugar cans from Guinness. Well, I might do. The trouble is, I tend to sort of like, if I like one particular beer, I'll just stick with that. I don't get out often, so I'd have to sort of like buy it and bring it back here. But I don't know, I might experiment. If something sounds good, I might try it. Big J. Hi, Big J, how are you? Good evening from Faye Glesner. Where's that? Faye Glesker? Where's that? I don't know where that is. You spoke about two-stroke smell. Did you have a Yamaha Fizzy? Yeah, it was a Fizzy FS1E. Yeah, that's it. Was the one to have. Yeah, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant bike. That was a long old time ago. And we had, it wasn't mine though, my mate had it. It was an MT70, like a little trials bike. That was absolutely fantastic. That was quick, that was. Yeah, but the Fizzy, that was one of the bikes to sort of own back in the day. They were great. Mr. Sonic, hello, how are you? How much have you had? That's number one. I'm going to have another now. Because this is the last bottle. There. That's the last bottle. I'm still trying to see. I can't see a Mondeo in the bottle now. So I don't know what's going on. Oh, hang on. Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Can anybody see that? Can you see the Mondeo headlight in the bottle? Red Mondeo. Oh, where are we? See that? No. Look inside the bottle. Oh my God. There's optical illusions going on in here. Lovely. That's a cold one, straight out the fridge. Flipping heck. Chris have no driver. Plenty of red Mondeos there. How bizarre. Them Mondeos that you see in that bottle, on my YouTube channel, it's on my channel page, there's a whole row of red Mondeos. So that's the cars you were seeing in that bottle. Now, how the hell my YouTube page at the top is showing up in that bottle, I have no goddamn idea whatsoever. But there's definitely something going on. I change my oil and filter every 8K using Shell Helix Ultra 030. Do my power shift transmission oil and filter every 2 years. Stems back to my CVH. Oh my God. Engine Orion. Oh, 1.62 prevent black sludge. Well, that's good. But I remember the CVH engines. The funny thing is, there was a Ford Orion at that car show at TC House in Peterborough. There's only just one Orion there that I saw. And I thought to myself, That's the name of a Ford I had long forgotten about. SY Diagnostics. I'm putting a video out on my channel showing my test methods for the broken wire. Harness is £21. Yep. A power probe will retract the motor for future reference. The edge today wasn't locked on. Right. Yeah, I got a couple leads from Ford, so I've got a spare one now. So, yeah. I don't think it's a common problem, you know. I don't know. Well, not on the Mark 5 Mondeos, it's not. That's the first time it's ever happened. But if it happens again, I'll certainly know what it is. I'll go for that straight away. Big J, is that bulb the one out the American fire station that's been on for over 100 years? I'd have to look that one up. But no, this one's out of B&Q. Or it's out of Silent Hill, where the underground coal fires are still going. I just walked into B&Q. I went in there to get some stones for outside, bloody coloured stones. And then ended up seeing that and thinking, oh, that would look nice. So I just bought it. Then realised you can't just buy, you've got to buy the bulb, then you've got to buy the pendant separate. So what started off as 20 quid ended up as nearly 50 quid. Graham, which is the best Fiesta diesel engine? 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. Had a or two Fiesta 1.8 bulletproof, as I remember. Well, all these they're all little Peugeot engines. They're all right, but I wouldn't say they're. I don't know. They're okay. The main thing on them is the injectors. They tend to leak from the copper washer, and you get a lot of blowback on the injectors, and you have to take the injectors out and put new copper washers on them. I've had so many of them leaking. Seems to be a thing with them. And I've heard the injectors aren't up to much in them engines either. But apart from that, I guess, like everything else, make sure the cam belt's done at the right interval and change the oil at the right interval and fuel filter, obviously. That's about it. They're not bad. Yeah, the 1.8 TDDI, yeah, they're good engines. They started getting a bit less reliable when they started putting more emission-related crap on them. Peter Waygood. Hello, Peter. How are you? What is the time, by the way, now? 9:45. Mondo, 207 van, no power, steering parts and runs fine. Bloke quoted 800 quid for new electric steering rack. Prone problem. We checked the charge, 15 volt, tested battery knackered, new battery, fixed 55 quid. So we checked the charge, 15 volt. So that's overcharging. It was overcharging. Because batteries shouldn't charge at 15 volts, should they? They should be like, what is it, 13.8 to 14.4, something like that. I know if you get a battery that's you got over 15 volt going through it, it's going to boil it dry. And I guess the sensitive electronics on these cars ain't going to like that. But yeah, them electric steering racks, if you have to buy the rack with the motor as one piece, they're bloody stupid money. Performance World. Hope you're well. Yep, I've got my beer. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. What should I look out for on a Mondeo Mark IV with 280,000 miles? Bloody hell. Well, rear trailing arm bushes would be one of the big ones on suspension. Knocky front shock absorbers. I guess as a car in general, you just have to go over it like an MOT. And then just listen to the engine, see how it sounds. Because them engines, like I say, they shouldn't be smoking. They should be running perfectly still, and they're quite a quiet engine. I'd say if it's a 2 litre diesel, they're actually a quieter engine than the 2 litre diesel in the Mark V. And I think on the Mark V they've got that chunky top cover with a foam in it to act as sound deadening. But the Mark IV 2 litres are definitely a quieter engine. As long as that engine's not rocking about or anything, and it's perfectly still when it's ticking over, I'll take it for a good drive. They can still be a very good car at that kind of mileage as long as they've been looked after. But you'd have to get someone to go over it properly, check it all out. Look for all the service history. Are you drinking LSD? No, but there's something LSD within that bottle. I can't get over it. Where is it? There. Oh, I'm going to move on. No, there's something going on. There's cars showing up inside this bottle. It's tripping out. So, I don't need any bloody ganja. I only got to look at this bottle. I'm starting to space out. Jay, yes, working on the ground, all hand tools. Yeah, I've done that many a time. I've taken many a gearbox out on the ground, jacking it up on axle stands, and oh my God, hard work. Simon Goodship. Hi, Simon. It's a 2009 Mondeo Mark IV 2 litre TDCi. I had the clutch and dual mass flywheel changed. I've read that if the bolts on the bottom gearbox mount are mixed up, one is slightly longer and can damage steering. Well, I haven't come across that myself, but what you've said there, other people have said in the past, so we'll believe it. The trouble is, I can't speak for anybody else, but I've seen many mechanics take things apart, and they don't put, it's like they'll get the nuts and bolts and they'll just put them down like that. They won't take any kind of particular, like putting things in a certain position so they know what side they come out on. They'll just get flung on the floor and then just think they're all going to go back on. There was one guy we had, he was really quick, he's a Romanian, but bloody hell, fucking bolts fucking flying out. It's like any old bolt will just go back into any old hole. And it's like if you get a wrong bolt that's longer than the other one, you put it in the wrong hole, that's what could well have happened. That's why I always say when you take something apart, even if it's a gearbox out, whatever you take out on the driver's side, you put down here, and on the passenger side, you put down there, and you'll try and arrange all the bolts in sort of like, so you know exactly where they're going to go back. Everything's laid out neatly, but not everybody's like that, and they'll just pick up anything, and this is how things get messed up like that. So you could well be right there. Alex, 1.6 TDCi is a PSA engine, and the later ones are reliable and have major issues. They use them in many makes of car, Mini, and the rest. Yeah. The thing is, there's so many bloody variations out there now of these engines. It's like, yeah, it's hard to keep up with them all. But I suppose as time goes on, they do get generally sort of like the main issues get ironed out. And we don't fix cars, we fix high pressure water jetters. Bloody garage mechanics just ripping people off. Only came in as he was dropping off engineering supplies. He was so bloody happy. Free lunch. Moko. Hi, Moko. Good to see you back. Yeah, I've got to put an appearance in. This is my Wednesday evening to if I wasn't doing this, I'd either be in bed or just watching videos on YouTube. So I don't know, it's quite nice to sort of like just do this once a week. And plus it gives sort of like, anyone wants to raise any questions, you might get an answer. You probably won't, but it's worth a try. Oh yeah, by the way, I for about the 10th time I dropped my phone. I've been lucky for 9 times, so the 10th time the screen broke. So I've had to go to Amazon, and I ain't pouncing around changing the screen. I've got the screen with the home button. No, I've got to change the home button because it's got fingerprint bullshit on it. But for £23, you get a new screen, home button, earpiece, and all that bullshit that goes with it. It all comes from one built-up assembly, so it should be quite easy to change. I bought a Laguna. Really? Off eBay for 300 quid. You were ripped off there. I used to avoid Lagunas like the plague. Anyway, what were you saying? The broken electric handbrake, quoted 1,800 quid to repair 4 hours investigation, broken wiring loom above fuel tank. Video on YouTube to share to others. Yeah. Nightmare. That must have been a high-up model to have an electric handbrake on it. Yeah, I remember the Lagunas very well. Bloody hell, where are we? Well, that's a bit of timing, isn't it, Steve? 9 o'clock. Oh my God. It's now, so I'm an hour behind. Sorry, my previous handbrake messages should have been removed. That's all right. It don't matter. Rafael Rosoto. Hello. Have you ever thought of presenting Top Gear with that girl in the office because you're good? I'm not very good on camera though. I'm not very good at talking on camera. I wouldn't be very good at it at all. That's the only reason I get the camera out now is sort of like to overcome my. I tend to get my words stuttery and God knows what when I'm talking to a camera. It's not. It must be psychological because I can talk like looking at this camera now, and it's not a problem because I know it's live. I know this. It almost feels well. It is because you are watching, and I know you're watching through this lens. But when I'm making a video and I'm talking to the camera, I often mess my words up because I know that there's nobody behind the camera, sort of thing. It's strange. If I was talking to somebody face to face, you can just talk about this, that, and everything. But it's different when you're talking to a camera. It's like you'd have to try it. You ought to try it sometime. You feel like an idiot talking to a bloody camera. It's like you tend to sort of like. So anyway, no, I don't think I'd be very good at Top Gear. I'd never compete with Jeremy Clarkson. They're bloody experts at it. They've had many years of sort of like doing that, and they've got a proper team around them. They've probably got cue cards, and they might have what Joe Biden has, an auto cue, so he's got to read off the teleprompter, so he hasn't got to think for himself. Makes life easy. Steve, black smoke equals map sensor with a blob of crap on it. Quite possibly. I know we had a BMW X3 and the map sensor on that was right down the back of the manifold. That was a diesel version and it was a bloody pig to get to, but that was cracked up. And the hole the bloody map sensor goes into was blocked as well. That was causing all bloody manner of issues. VSTV, hello, how are you doing? Hello, Wales. Whereabouts in Wales are you? Because I've been to Wales before. I remember the Abergavenny gateway to Wales. I shan't go over it again, but I've been to Cardiff. Cardiff, a fine city, well, it used to be. I don't know what it's like now. The town of Barry. Daniel, hi Daniel. Loving your videos, all are very informative. I have a Ford S-Max 2012, 2-litre TDCi. Sometimes it's hard to get into second, then back into first, especially when cold, but also when it's warmed up sometimes. I think the best thing you can do is change your gearbox oil. And if that don't cure it, then you're possibly looking at the clutch plate starting to stick a little bit on the splines, on the input shaft. And the worst case scenario is you've got a problem with your first to second synchro hub inside the gearbox. Generally speaking, if it's a synchro hub, it'll either crunch in first or second, or it'll jump out of a gear or something like that. But I would definitely replace your gearbox oil first, because I have had people say they've changed the oil and it's helped a hell of a lot. In some cases it's cured their problem. So I'll start with the easy stuff first. Adam Lewis, hi Adam. Just bought a Mondeo Mark IV Titanium X 2-litre TDI 57 plate. Is it common on these that the heated seat switch fails on them? I do not know. I wouldn't have thought so. Is it one of them switches that's got all the little red light LEDs in it that light up depending on what intensity you put the seat on? I've had nothing much to do with them, but I've never heard of any problems with the heated seats on Mondeos anyway. Not that we've really had any. I had heated seats on my old Ford Scorpio. They weren't a problem. So unless there is a problem, I've not heard of it. I wouldn't have thought so though. But no, it's nothing that I've actually come across, so I can't really be any help there. VSTV. I remember when my dad had his Mark II Mondeo, 2 litre 16 valve Z-Tech Estate in blue. I used to love that car. Mark II. Do you know, I'll tell you something. I was never a fan of the Mark II Mondeos, but the estate versions, they looked nice, especially if you had the back windows all smoked out. They were a nice looking car. We had a couple of estates as taxis, but most of them were all hatchbacks. I never really liked the hatchbacks, but nah, I know what you mean. They were nice. They looked like quite a pretty good looking car. Tony R. Hello, Tony. You had a video with oil leak in high pressure fuel pump in Mondeo 2015. Same problem in 2 litre diesel. Those engines from 2015 forward. It's not, the oil leak isn't in the pump. It's the, how can I put it? Then there's a main oil leak. You have to take the high pressure fuel pump off the engine, and then there's this intermediate unit there with a cog in it that the pump goes into, this cog unit. And it's the metal gasket that goes between this cog unit and the cylinder head is what the problem is. That's where they leak from. It's not coming from the pump itself. But they all seem to leak. So I think if you've got an oil leak there, you have to take this cog unit off, get a new gasket. There's supposed to be a metal crush gasket, but there's an oil feed goes through there, and they're obviously not sealing that well. So unless you put a bit of extra sealant around there, which might help. But yeah, they're just a common thing. All the engines in the Mark V's, the 2 litre diesels, they seem to all leak from the same place. Wet belt is a pig in 1.8. Yes. Yes, they are. They are an expensive job. When we had, there must have been 09 and 10 plate, Mark IV Mondeos, 1.8 TDCIs. There must have been 30 odd cars we had to change from wet belts to chain conversions. And we had all the tools lined up on the bench, sort of like, so we knew every single nut and bolt in like perfect order. And we were changing them wet belts to a chain conversion. And I was doing them in like 3.5 hours each. And that was knowing exactly what to go for next without even thinking about it. But if you haven't done one and you've got to do it from scratch, you're sort of like, that's going to be an entire day. It's a lot of work. More people have died from smoking than COVID. Yeah. Yeah, but you're not supposed to talk about that. You're not supposed to talk about alcohol, drug abuse, bloody car accidents, anything like that. You're just supposed to be traumatized with COVID. That's all that matters. Ask Joe Biden, he'll tell you. So I've really got this. Do you know what? There's something I would like to do to Joe Biden, but I daren't say. Phil Fagan speaking the truth, and look what happens. Yeah, you get banned off YouTube for speaking the truth. You're not allowed to talk about it. It doesn't fit in with their narrative. VSTV resistor. Need a resistor in the headlight bulb wiring to avoid the CAN bus error. Yeah, they sell them. I forget what they call them now. They sell them on Amazon and all that. It's just a little unit that you plug into the back of, you plug into your headlamp loom, which then plugs onto your LED bulb, and that solves the CAN bus issue. Yeah, I think they're quite widely sold everywhere. So if you do get like error messages, it's quite an easy fix. Sam Helsby, hello. I work in a Ford main dealer, so if you need to access wiring diagrams or repair procedures, send me a message. I'll be happy to. Thank you very much. I shall, because we've got auto data, but it's not very good. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Because if I was to say, well, I'll get back to it, and it means I've got to play through the bloody video again. There. Now I won't forget you. I've got your picture. So thank you very much, Sam. I'll check you out later. I'll bear that in mind. Alex, they are called resistors. Resistors to stop the CAN bus acting up. Phil, I have the aux beam in my Mondeo from the week you posted the video. Must be 3 years ago. Best lamps I've ever had. That's good news. God, do you know what? Even with this padding on these stools, my arse is like sitting down for so long. Because you know, this bloody table, it came for £200. It come with 4 stools. Right. All right, mate. What have you got? Have you got the flu or have you got the COVID?
I think it was the same as last time.
I'll tell you something though. Does anybody want a COVID test? Look at all these COVID tests. I refuse to take one. I've never ever taken one, but the school keeps sending them here. I should sell them. Put them on the black market. Anyway, what was he talking about? No, that is, Phil, that is absolutely fantastic. Because I did wonder myself, you know, I did like the bulbs and I thought they were great, but I had no information unless going through real life experience of how long they're going to last. And if you do some more Benylin, but to have them last 3 years, I mean, that's not bad going. One moment. Come here.
I can do it myself.
Give the bottle a shake.
Yes, I know. Thanks, Seth.
No, that is good news. At least you got your money's worth out of them. Because if I remember rightly, they weren't actually that expensive. Russ, I ordered the aux beam 5 months back. On my Mark IV, I put HIDs and they were good, but they come with a transformer which can break. Yep. Looking forward to the aux beams in my Mark V. Yeah, they've outlawed the HIDs, that's for sure. Yeah, the HIDs were like stupid amounts of you can electrocute yourself. HIDs are sort of like, I quite like them. I like the way they come on. They're a bit like the old lights we used to have in the garage that they used to fire up and go and then they slowly brighten up. But yeah, no, the LEDs would be instantaneous, so boom, they'll be straight on. I guess that's one way you can tell an LED from a halogen. It's quicker.
I accidentally spilled it there. I'm sorry.
Well, in there, there's some wet wipes in there, in toilet. Oh, here. Wet wipes, baby wet wipes are the best invention in the world.
No, they're not. The mind is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, well,
It can create and destroy.
so let me go back a minute. So Phil Fagan here has said he's had his aux beam LEDs for 3 years now and they're still going. So Russ, hopefully they'll do you very well. And I guess whatever you're paying for them now, because I don't think they were very expensive anyway. They're kind of like, if they do 3 years, they ain't done bad. It's the trouble with all these LEDs. There's so many companies out there banging them out. It's hard to know whether you're buying reasonable quality ones or just buying crap. You can turn off the start-stop permanently on the Mark V via ForScan or Good Diagnostic, i.e. Snap-on. Yeah. Oh, it annoys me. Yeah, I'll tell you what, a lot of these taxis I have to get into, and I'll go for a road test and I'll get to a junction or something and the engine will cut out. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, I'll quickly put my foot back on the clutch for it to start up again, because it's like, I could just see myself getting stuck somewhere that it's not going to start again. I've just got this sort of like bad feeling about them. I don't like them. They use AGM battery, Tanya online sell branded batteries for very cheap. I got mine from them next day delivery. That's interesting to know. Dear Nazrui, I hope I said your name right. I've not seen your channel. Good evening from Sweden. Well, hey, what is the difference between 12 volt and 14 volt alternators? The Mondeo Mark IV, they don't have what's called a 14 volt alternator. What you've got is the battery in your car is about 12.6 volt, 12.8 volt. When you start the car up, I won't go into all this smart charging because it just complicates things. But when you start the car up, the alternator will put into your battery on average between 13.8 and 14.4 volts to keep the battery charged up. So it's like if everything in your car went down to 12 volt, if the alternator stopped working, the battery would just eventually drain. And if it got down to 12 volt, a lot of the electrics in your car aren't going to start working very well because they need more than 12 volt to work. well, especially if you get down to sort of like below 9 volt, a lot of these electrics are sort of like going to start playing up. But that's just the way most cars work. The alternator charges at a higher rate, just about another extra volt or two above what the battery would normally sit at when it's not doing anything, just to keep it charged up, because the battery's being used all the time. So yeah, I'm probably not explaining this very well, but if your alternator is charging at 14 volt, if you've got a multimeter across your battery when the engine's running and it's reading 14 volt, that is perfectly normal. It's supposed to be like that. If you had your multimeter across your battery when the engine's running and it's reading 12 volt, I would say your alternator's not charging or your battery's knackered. So just bear in mind that on the average car, with the engine ticking over, it should be, your battery should be charged, your alternator should be kicking out anything from like 13.8 to 14.4 volt, and that's normal. Anyway, I'm boring myself now. I'm going to move on. 50 pence. Hello. I quite like the name of that. You should have put it at 50 cents. What's hanging out at the end of your shorts? Oh, this. Hang on. You know what that is? There. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh my God. Do you know what? Oh my God. No wonder. Holy crap. Do you know what? Okay, everybody. Nobody's noticed that, have they? Now, there. That the camera has been in manual focus. It's been in manual focus all night. Which basically means whenever I come close up here, it wasn't going to focus. Like that, see that? That's focused. Now it'll focus over here. It's been in manual focus, so I've probably been blurry all night, unless I've been sort of like sat in the right position. I've just switched it onto auto focus now. Oh no, that was they're the little cards that come with the stalls, because these stalls I've only just sort of like bought them and I haven't snipped the labels off them. So that's what's hanging down. Glasgow is Glasgow. Glasgow is Glasgow in Scotland. Glasgow, Glaswegian. Yes, Red Monday in bottle. Oh yeah. Oh my God. There isn't there. I don't know. It's strange. Smash and crash. Thank you, Alan. I've just bought a modified Mondeo ST line. Whoa. 2 litre diesel, 67 plate with 54,000 miles. I bet that weren't cheap. I'm currently doing 1,500 miles plus a month. Just service with Castrol Magnetic. Stop, start. Well, switch to stop, start off. Because the starter motor's cost a lot of money on them cars if it buggers up. I don't trust them. Believe me, it's better without a start-stop. It's a gimmick. But yeah, I bet that's nice. ST line. Ooh. They're one of them cars that you can just go on a long old journey and you're going to be comfortable. And I like comfortable cars. Cousins 72. Hi from Glencoe, Scotland. Hello over there. Up there in Scotland. VSTV, that is mad. How is there a Mondeo in the bottle? Well, I'm hoping somebody can tell me that. What I can't get my head around is that there's not a green screen in. Oh, by the way, I have got a proper green screen. I went to Wex Photographic in Norwich, and I have the proper green screen with all the bells and whistles and the stands and everything. So I could literally put a green screen up here, and I could have whatever picture I goddamn well wanted on this wall. But it's like I've got nothing up. So for some reason, this is a green bottle. And for whatever reason, it's only because I'm using a DSLR camera to... It's picking up the homepage of my YouTube channel and the banner at the top where I've got all the picture of the Mondeos. And they're showing up here in this bottle. And I don't get it, because even here on the StreamYard, I'm using StreamYard, which is streaming obviously to YouTube, because StreamYard is a third-party software, so I'm not actually even on YouTube. You people are watching on YouTube, and you're watching me using the third-party software, which is StreamYard. So how the hell this is picking up my YouTube banner and putting it in that bottle, I don't know. So it's one of those weird things. Bart Zwedelander, wear a green shirt next time. You'll have my... Do you know what? Do you know what? Hang on a minute. Let me just try something. Because I still have my elf suit. I'm not going to put it on, but I'm just going to put it up against me. 1 minute. We'll see. Right, here we go. Oh, well, the trousers are green. Oh my God, look at this. Woohoo! Can you see that? Oh my God. Yeah, baby. That is bloody awesome. How the hell is that picking up my YouTube banner? Yeah. It's obviously something to do with the green. I'll tell you something though. On this StreamYard, they do a green screen, so you can actually, if I did have a green screen here, all I've got to do is click a button and it'll bring up the picture, whatever I want to use. So I reckon it's something to do with the software, but I don't see why it's picking up the green and showing my YouTube banner through it. But thanks, Bart. That was a brilliant idea. Now we know green is the colour to use. Next time, I shall dress completely in green and I'll paint my face green and I'll just be, all you'll see is sort of like something moving around. It's quite interesting. Put the blue screen up next week to have the Mondeo background. I'm not sure I've got anything blue. What's this? No, that one's not having it. It don't like blue. Well, the funny thing is, it should work with blue because blue screen and green screen are the same thing. They don't like red. But this is my. I don't know if you ever remember. I'll put these on. these are my elf kit. There. Oh, fucking hell. Anyway, I better move on because we're getting behind. Fata Morgana in beer bottle. I forgot to say you're a nutcase. That's good. I do tend to find stupid stuff funny. Love the washer pickup. that was Matt at work. He thought of that. It's sort of like that we've got a whole like shelves with loads of trays of this, that, and the other in them, and he knocked one of the trays, and the whole lot went on the floor, and they lay on the floor for about a day and a half, and then he decided to wrap some wire up around a bolt and make this really crude electromagnet. And I said, stop. Let me get my phone out just to see if this works. So I thought it was quite amusing. It's not the kind of thing you'd well, I mean, if you held the wire on any longer, it would have caught fire. But it was funny. It was something just sort of like amusing at the time. Key to James. Hello. How are you doing? Where are we? We are absolutely. I've lost our living. What's all this? Oh, we got a freak, Harvey Price. You got a freak. They can fuck off. It makes you wonder where these weirdos come from. I've lost our spot as well. I don't know where the bloody last message we were on. The chipmunk, yes, make someone a moderator. Well, the thing is, I just go down the list, but normally we get the Bible bashers. but there's always some freak turns up. You need a mod or two for the trolls. Yeah, but they're just sad. There's just fucking idiots out there. They've got nothing better to do. James Lee, injector open circuit. All 4 cylinders are open circuit. Do you think it's wiring issue? It's possible, but it might not be. Injectors are a funny thing, and they tend to find that if you've got like no power to any of the injectors, it could well be because there's something else wrong with the injectors. It's something like if you've got like a low fuel pressure issue, it's not going to put a live out to the injectors because it's seeing there's not enough fuel pressure, so it's not going to open the injectors, so it won't send a signal to the injectors to open them in the first place. So this is what you're up against. So it may not even be nothing to do with the injectors. It's the ECU not allowing the injectors to work anyway because there's issues somewhere else. Start stop is always evil. Yep, I don't like it at all. The trouble is they keep bringing out all these things and they're selling points. It's not that you need them. It's just that they can say, well, this car's got start-stop technology. And it's like, they're just a pain in the arse, really, to most people. I get worried when the car stops at junctions because I think it's not going to start again. In trade mode, all injector open circuit. How did you measure and where? You're supposed to have what's called a node kit, which you plug into the wires that go to the injectors. They're a bit like LEDs. And when you crank the engine over, these little LED nodes, they should like flash as the ECU is firing the signal to the injectors. But if they're not flashing any of them, if none of them are working, I would probably say there's an issue somewhere else. I mean, I've heard of people that will put like a 5 watt or even a lower wattage capless bulb connected to some wires across the injector wire to see if it will light up at all when you're cranking it. But if you're getting no feed to any of the injectors whatsoever, it could be an ECU issue, but because these injector wires, they come straight from the ECU and they go straight to the injectors. But chances are it's going to be an issue somewhere else. Like I said, probably low fuel pressure. If the fuel pressure is if it's noticing the fuel pressure is too low, it won't put a signal out to the injectors, so they won't work anyway. So it's just what's a lot of these things. It can get pretty complicated. You could have a fault somewhere else you've got to find first. Steve, StreamYard Studio. Click the cam mic settings button and open the green screen. Right. Oh, hang on a minute. It's actually the green screen settings is actually on my YouTube banner, but it doesn't say. Okay, right, hang on. I think you might have cracked it. Well, thanks, Steve. You've solved it. The green screen was switched on. Well, cheers. but I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it on. well, at least you solved it. Well, cheers. Now we know what the problem was. The green screen was switched on all this time. Oh my God. What is the time? 10:35. Big J. Heads up display on bottle. Cool, beam me up, Scotty. Cheers from Glasgow. Steve Perry, you be right. Yeah. A simple fix as that. So that means the green screen must have been on this software for how many weeks now? James Lee, hi James. Injector open circuit on all four. Yeah. Have you Googled that code, P0201? Google it and see if whoever else is talking about it. Because if you've got the problem, no doubt somebody else has as well. Harvey Price, hello pal, is it true you're an... Oh dear. And do you know what, if I'll go to this... Oh, I can't even go to it. There won't even be a channel there. Yeah. Oh, I'm attracting all the nonsense tonight. These are Michael Barrymore. Buster Cherry. Does anybody know where all these bloody idiots come from? They're all using different names. Is that what they do? They just go around different people's channels, just putting shit on them. How sad. Anyway, where are we? Big heads up display and bottle. We've done that one. There's only one cough bottle I go to now. Bronco stop. It's the dogs. Yeah. Hello, mate. How do I ask a question? Just type your question in the box, in the post a comment box, and it will come up on the screen. And hopefully, with any luck, I'll get around to it. Although, generally speaking, I'm normally running about an hour late. So, Mondeo Kex. We've had that one. Yeah, I don't even know if these are people or whether they're just like bots or what. If they are people, they're just fucking idiots. Do you watch salvage rebuilds? Yes, I do watch them sometimes. I don't watch all their videos, but I do watch them sometimes. They do actually quite some interesting stuff. So it's quite interesting from time to time. I was watching them, especially when they were doing the combi vans. Especially when I had that combi van I had to deal with. I was seeing if trying to get a few tips off their channel, but they had sort of like injector problems when I had a bloody dud engine. But yeah, they're a big channel, weren't they? They are now. Start from bottom. It's a shame, but got to go. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by. Hi from Maidstone, Kent. Hi, Christopher. How are you? Leak off test for injection. Just click block user everyone. Yeah. What's worst injector you've ever had to get out? It wasn't one I actually had to get out myself, but my mate had, I think it was a Renault traffic van. It was either a Vivaro or a Renault, but they're all the same bloody thing anyway. One of the injectors was stuck, seized in its hole, and it had got the other injectors out, but this one particular one he couldn't get out. So he called this company round, these guys that come round with their big sort of like press thing and all puller, and they tried to get it out. They ended up snapping the injector off inside the hole. Then they tried drilling it out and eventually gave up. And he had to change the engine after that. The van had to have a new engine put in it. But my mate at work, he's had an injector. He's changed 3 of them. And this is another Renault Traffic. Changed 3 of the injectors. The 4th injector, he can't get it out. It is in so tight. He's been pouring carburetor cleaner down it and stuff like that, chemicals, for months now. And he's had no clamp holding the injector on. So he's been running it every day with no clamp in it. And it still wouldn't come out. Eventually called up these other guys who come round. I didn't see exactly what they'd done, but I think in the end they just got a big slide hammer and pulled it out. But it's kind of like, you don't kind of want to go too far yourself with it, because if you snap the injector off and you can't get it out, you could be in trouble, big trouble. Whereas a lot of these guys now that will come round and they'll charge a couple £100 to pull them out. They're doing it all the time, so they know exactly what they're doing. They've had a lot of experience with it. But yeah, definitely the Vivaros are the ones I try to sort of like avoid. And we had some of the old Peugeot E7s, the earlier ones. The injectors tend to get stuck in them really badly, and you take ages to try and bloody get them out. Even my work van, there was one injector that I couldn't get out. I left the clamp off it eventually and just drove it with no clamp and sort of like forgot all about it. And sort of like a month later, just driving along, all of a sudden it started misfiring. There was smoke everywhere because the injector just popped out the hole. But yeah, I don't mind taking injectors out, but it's just, I don't know why in some vehicles they've got to make them so close to the actual wall that the hole they're going into. So it's like, it's just a recipe for disaster. Whereas like in the Mark 5 Mondeos, even the Mark 3 Mondeos, where they go in, there's no chance of them seizing up. So they just unbolt and come out nice and easily. I don't know why they can't make them all like that. Janek Telpus. Why do you use Ford taxis with manual transmission? Is the automatic transmission so bad? I think it's just a case of the automatics are a lot more expensive if they go wrong, and they'd be harder to get hold of. But that's the biggest issue. So I think the boss just doesn't trust all these drivers with automatics in case they bollocks them. That's basically what it comes down to. And the manual transmissions, if they do go wrong, it's not a headache to get hold of another gearbox if need be. Plus, we can take the manual gearboxes apart and fix them quite quickly. I think that's all it comes down to. The automatics are just bloody expensive. He just doesn't sort of like have that much faith in them. Why do you use Ford? We just had that one. My 2015 Mondeo start-stop did a stop-stop on the middle lane of Reading. Oh dear. Appoint a mod or two. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't even know how to do that, but next week I'll whoever wants to be a mod. But at the end of the day, if you get any idiots come along, I just block them. The thing is they don't even have any channels. If you clicked on their thumbnail, there's nothing there. So I don't even know they're getting on the channel anyway. That's what I mean. I think they're just sort of like bots. I will mod for you, pal. No, thank you, Chris. Well, next week I'll just sort of like appoint a couple of people, just sort of like get rid of the spam. It's not that we get much here anyway, really. Yeah. But then again, whatever the bots are putting out, I don't want to be reading their messages anyway, because it's nothing that's of any use to anyone. You need to have somebody admin your chats to keep the trolls at bay. Trolls. Regarding the heated seat issue, I have a 2012 Titanium X with heated and cooled seats. I remove the switches and clean them inside and out with pure alcohol, working perfect now. I'll tell you what I do find on the Mark IVs, the driver's switch packs in the driver's door, the window switch packs, especially if they've been left and not been used for a while, they can stop working, and we have to sort of like open them a bit and spray a load of electrical cleaner in them. Then they start working again. So it could be that. Big J, that Harvey Price is Jordan's son, but been troll trying to get him into trouble. Well, we had a Michael Barrymore earlier, didn't we? Pete Mechanic, Focus ST Mark III head gasket to do, 2 litre timing chain, easy to do. A Focus ST Mark III head gasket. I'm not too familiar with that. A 2 litre timing chain. They're not bad, but it's quite a lot of work. It's quite a lot of work to get it all apart, if you know what I mean. So it's time consuming. It's not really difficult, but it's time consuming and quite a bit to strip off. But I've not done a head gasket on a Focus ST Mark III, so I shouldn't think that's exactly easy. This one, CNC setter. Got to change my seatbelt on the driver's side. Do I have to disable the B-pillar airbag? Mondeo gear. No, you ain't got to disable nothing. Just don't have nothing. Just have your ignition switched off. Just change what you got to change, plug everything back in, it should be fine. Sean, it's a long story, but would overfilling the engine oil by 5 litres cause much damage to the engine? 5 litres, flipping heck. You could do. I would. It's possible it can do. I think the best thing you can do is get it all drained out. Remove any turbo hoses or anything like that, and make sure there's no oil in the intercooler and stuff like that. Get it all cleaned out if it has got into places it shouldn't have got into, and fill it up to the right amount and try it. Just run it nice and easy. If it's been run with that amount of extra oil in, that's a lot. So it's quite possible it could do engine damage if it was actually ran. If it's just put in and overfilled and started up for a minute, then no, you'd probably be all right. But if it's been run on the road for any period of time, it could have done some damage. But no, I'll definitely just drain it all out and reset it to the right level and then try it. You'd probably be lucky anyway. I should think you'd be all right. M99 injectors are the worst. I've had one before that was a full drill out job, top to bottom. Yeah. So I mean, some of them injectors, they're sort of like flipping egg. They get stuck down there. You're in all sorts of trouble. That's why I'm always wary about trying to get them out, even if it with one of them sort of like trying to slide hammer them out. There's only a certain amount you want to go with it, unless you're really confident. Because if you snap them, then you sort of like got to be looking at drilling them out. It's like it tends to get a bit specialist then. Yes, I know. Next week I'll appoint a couple of moderators, see if we can get rid of the trolls. In trade motor, I am waiting for work travel permit. Told them I go on benefit if declined. In a way, I hope they decline me travel through Auckland, New Zealand. Got to collect new to post hoist. I paid. Oh. Paddy Hanratty, you have covered this before. My Mark IV Mondeo, the spring on the slave cylinder went into bits. I was wondering, is this common problem? Yeah. Well, when the slave cylinders collapse and the oil goes everywhere, yeah, the springs can break up as well. And normally it's when a clutch has done a lot of miles and it's sort of like had it anyway. So, but yeah, I've had quite a few. They're broken up to pieces. So it's one of those things. I've noticed you get a slave cylinder from a motor factor. They look cheap and shitty. You get one from Ford, they look a lot better quality. So, and there's a big difference in price as well. So, but generally speaking, when you get to a point where the spring on the slave cylinder is all bust up, you're probably talking about a clutch that's done 150,000 miles or more. It's not that common, but I have seen it a lot of times. But it's generally us speaking on real high mileage cars though. Cyclone Sam, thank you, Cyclone. Steve, automatics are not popular in the UK. No, the Americans love them. Right? They're popular in America, but you notice all our rental cars, which are Mark III Mondeos, they are all automatics. because that's what the Americans want. They want automatics. Hi, Mark. Hello. Guess what? This is the beer you got me. In actual fact, this is the last bottle, so thank you very much. Are the Ford badges on Mark V Mondeos better Mark IV badges and other Ford grille? I don't really know. I have seen various cars where the badges actually sort of like peel off. I know what you mean. But I haven't had any problems with the Mark IVs or the Mark Vs with badges peeling off. They've all been, all the cars we've had have been fine. Although I've seen Fiestas and stuff like that going around where they've all peeled. So I don't know. I'd say that the Mark IV and the Mark V are about okay, from what I've seen anyway. We haven't had to go out and actually replace any, and I haven't. And when you look at them, if they start peeling, it's pretty obvious, and it kind of catches your eye. But I haven't noticed nothing. Nah. In 2020, can you still get manuals? I'm not sure you can. I think everything's like internet based now. I think it's all online manuals. There again, I haven't been in like a Halfords or auto part shop and looked for manuals. I know in the past you'd go out, whatever car you had, you'd go out and you'd go and buy a manual for it, so you knew how to fix it. But they kind of don't want you fixing your own cars anymore. So I've not looked. I don't think you can on most cars. I think you have to get online manuals. Automatics getting more popular in the UK. Don't know. I know that over here, if you take your driving test, I don't know if it's still the same. If you take your driving test in a manual car, you can drive manuals and automatics. If you take your test in an automatic, you can't drive a manual. I believe that's right. Until you take a test in a manual car. The power shift gearbox aren't the most reliable of gearboxes. Expensive to buy and expensive to maintain. Best decision is to swerve them. Yeah. And they have sort of like not very much mileage, is it? And you've got to change the oil. What are they like? Every 30,000 miles, you've got to change the oil, which is, what is it? Over £200 for a kit. Stephen Westhead. Hi, Stephen. Mark IV driver's door switches get wet if you open the window in the rain. Yep, they certainly do. I've actually had that a few times. Open the window and you get bloody soaked. If heated seat not working, can you check resistance on connector under seat? If so, what resistance would you expect? I'm not sure. It's not something I've checked. I'd be more inclined to be like seeing if there's power down to it to start with, like putting a switch on and seeing if there's power going to the heating element if you can find the wires to it. In the UK, if you pass your test in an automatic, then it does not allow you to drive. Yeah, that's what I always thought, yeah. Yeah. Phil Fagan, gotta go. See you next time, Phil. Thanks for stopping by. What's the highest mileage you've seen? Oh, I can't even remember now. I honestly can't remember. I'm probably going back to the days of the Ford Sierras, and it's like they were over 500,000 miles a piece. There was two cars. They're both like 1989 models, and they've done over like 500,000 miles each. But I can't remember exactly what the mileage was now. It's a long time ago. Normally the cars sort of like the taxis we got here, they're sort of like when they get to 350,000, something around that mark, then they'll go. Time for bed. Good night, Mr. Sonic. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. It's getting that time, isn't it? 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm going to go to bed now, Dad.
Okay, I'll see you in the morning. How do you remove the inner tail light on the boot lid on a Mark IV Mondeo as the lens on mine is cracked? I did try and do it, but couldn't work out how. The inner tail light. There should be I think you've got to pull the actual panel off inside the boot. Then there should be some screws or nuts. Then it should just undo and then pop out. I'm sure it should. I don't think they're that difficult. My front badge has peeled. I bet they're not cheap for a new one. We're going to stop by a breaker's yard and peel one off another car. I wonder if they sell them on sort of like eBay, do pattern ones that aren't as expensive as the Ford ones. 087 Mail, hello. Did you get the Mondeo engine swap finished? Any idea what happened to the unit you removed? Yeah, it is done. It started up perfect. It's all running fine. The old unit, they want back. It's exchange. So it's got to go back to they want to weigh it in, obviously, at the scrapyard. So I've got to give it back. I'm going to strip it of all the ancillaries and stuff, but I've got to give the main bit back. So the funny thing is, now that engine one's done, I'm now doing a clutch. And after the clutch is done, I've got another engine change on a Mark V to do. It's another one that's done. It's done 294,000 miles, and I think the crankshaft shells have had it. Manual gearboxes you can rebuild yourself. Automatics have to be built at Hogwarts, who insist that the torque converter is also reconned. Yeah, I haven't really got any experience with automatics anyway. I think if you know about automatics, they can probably become a lot easier. But you've obviously sort of like got to know about them. It's like to most of us, automatics are another world. We sort of like stay away from them. I have a 2-litre Mark III auto. Just love it. 2-litre Mark III. Yep, they're good cars if they're looked after. In fact, it's the 2-litre. Is that the petrol one? Because the 2-litre was the more desirable one. It's the quicker one. Paddy, the slave cylinder was still working, no fluid leaking. The problem was clutch pedal would stick to the floor when I looked at where the clutch pipe goes in. I could see things were not good. Yeah, that's probably why the pedal was sticking to the floor. The spring was busted, and it's not returning the cylinder. Power Shift recommend oil change every 3 years or 36,000. See, it's not a lot. The trouble is, could you justify a Mondeo being used as a taxi or a Power Shift gearbox having to spend 200 and whatever pound every 36,000 miles. I mean, bearing in mind 36,000 miles on one of these cars is every 3 months. No, not every 3 months. 36,000 would be, they'd probably do that in 6 months, maybe a little bit more, 6 to 8 months. Genuine Ford filter, 25 quid on eBay, so not that expensive. Yeah, it's £80 from Euro. Yeah. Bought the car at 50 miles and the slave cylinder went at 65. Yeah, Ford cylinder. Yeah. It all depends though who's been driving it. That's the problem. You get people who ride the clutch. So, I mean, I've known someone to knock a clutch out in 3,000 miles. It's like you just don't know, do you? 38k or 3 years for power shift. Similar situation with Volkswagen DSG oil on 2,000 miles, less than the Volkswagen equivalent. Yeah. Vivian, enjoyed the chat tonight. Thanks. Good night, Vivian. Thanks for stopping by. We'll be running again next Wednesday, hopefully. Hi, Mark. Mark 4 handles better after you sorted the tracking. I thought you meant door handles for a minute. Handles better after you sorted the tracking. Brilliant. Thanks for the beer. You'll notice if I can't remember what your car was now, whether it's towing in too much or towing out. I'm sure it was towing in. I'm sure your car was towing in, but you'll notice if the front wheels are towing in too far, in an extreme situation, it would feel like you're steering like you're on ice. It would make the steering very light and skittish. Whereas if they're towing out too much, it would, well, I don't think you'd notice so much, but it would obviously scrub your tyres out just as bad as what it would do towing in. But I'm sure your car was towing in. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how they work it out. They test these cars when they make them, because all these cars have different trackings on them. They're all parallel or 1 degree out or 1 degree in. There's some cars, I think it was Vauxhalls, you have to set them to towing in like a degree, because when you start driving, they actually sort of come out a bit. So it's complicated stuff, tracking, when you really go into it. But I try and just keep it like simple. Remember in the past, it used to be apart from tracking, you had to have camber caster and kingpin inclination. There was all kinds of adjustments you could make. You can't make them adjustments anymore, really, on most cars, because everything's just bolted straight on. So if something's not right, something's bent. But yeah, all these things used to be adjustable in the cars of old. Adam Lewis, have found genuine Ford badges around £20. Well, there you go. I wouldn't say bloody £20 cheap for a badge. I mean, it's only a badge, isn't it? But they obviously know they're going to make some cash out of them. Badge from TC Harrison around £47. Don't know if VAT. Oh, bloody hell. £47 for a bloody badge. The end is in sight. 2 litre petrol, had it 11 years, done 88,000 miles, not missed a beat, no problems. That's excellent. 2 litre petrol. I quite like them. We've still got quite a few up there, but they're all automatics. That's the problem. Are the taxis going to electric? Hybrid makes some sense. I have no idea. I'm not sure the taxis are going to be around much longer. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. As soon as I know for definite which way the company's going to go, or what's going to happen, I'll let you know. But I don't want to say nothing at the minute because I could be totally wrong. So when I've got sort of like 100% confirmation of what's happening where I work anyway, then I'll come out with a statement. I'll come out with I'm off down the Dole Centre to get my gyro. Big J, night all, great time. Thank you, Big J. Thanks for being here. We'll have another one next Wednesday, hopefully. 087 Mail. I had a new Fiesta go out on a Friday lunchtime and come back on a recovery truck Monday morning. Clutch burnt out, no drive. Owner was deaf. There's people who put in our bloody yard, okay, and they come into the yard and they can't just do a simple 3-point turn to turn around and go out again. They do about a 20-point turn and the clutch is slipping and you're looking at them and you're just sort of like, oh my God, how the hell did you get a license? But you know, it was the car that sticks in my mind was it was an Austin Maestro, and this old guy, he bought the car like brand spanking new, and he brought it back within 3,000 miles, completely burnt the clutch out, and tried to claim warranty. I think he got warranty out of it as well, but he just burnt it out because he couldn't drive properly. Enjoy the chat, Sal, and good night. Thank you, Paddy. See you next week, hopefully. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, well, we are nearly there. Can the trailing arm bushes of the Mark IV Mondeo cause camber and towing in or out issues if they are worn? Yeah, they certainly can cause issues because once them bushes, generally speaking, they'll just split to a certain point where you'll notice them and get them changed. But I have had some of them bushes that they've been so bad, the bush is literally coming out of the rubber bits coming out of the arm, so the arm's actually tipping. So they certainly can cause some issues if they're left too long. It's best to actually get them done when they get to a certain point. Chris, it looks like you're the last man standing. They don't pay for joy. It's an old joke. It's an old joke that, you know, years ago, you'd go down the job centre and cash your gyro in. Then you go around the offie and get your gin and go home, play your music loud on a Sunday night just so you can piss off everybody who works on a Monday morning. It's just, I know what I know, but it's just an old joke. Anyway, it's direct to your bank. We will start a GoFundMe page. Anyway, good night, Andy. Thanks for stopping by. Brilliant. See you next week, hopefully. Steve, you are the last man standing. I'm going to sign out now. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by and joining in the live stream. And I will see you this time next week. Thank you very much, everyone, and adios. I'm out of here. Oh, one more. Adam. Bye, Adam. Thanks for help. Keep up the good work. Thank you to Adam. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week. I'm going to end the broadcast. Bye, everybody. See ya.